Haunted whispers. The shadow of the nightmare. It was a night so dark that even the stars seemed afraid to shine. In a small Anatolian village, a boy named Ali was returning home from the fields when he heard strange whispers carried by the wind. The sounds coming from between the trees were much deeper than the usual rustling of leaves, as if someone or something was speaking, though the words were indecipherable. Ali quickened his pace toward home. As he pushed open the wooden door of his father's old house, he felt a heavy weight on his back. It was as if an invisible pair of eyes were piercing through his skin, watching his every move. Inside, his mother was cooking at the stove, and his father sat silently, staring at the wall. No matter how exhausted he was, Ali couldn't shake the eerie unease gripping him. At midnight, he turned off the lamp in his room and lay down. But just as his eyes closed, he heard a whisper right next to his ear. "Don't forget me." Ali's entire body froze. He slowly sat up and glanced around, but the room was empty. Looking out the window, he spotted a tall, thin shadow standing at the far end of the yard. It had no eyes, yet Ali could feel its gaze piercing through him. Just then, the house creaked unnervingly. The wooden floor groaned as if someone was walking across it. But his family was supposed to be asleep. Terrified, Ali hid under his blanket as he saw his bedroom door slowly creak open. The shadow slid inside. The moment it stepped closer, the air in the room turned icy, his breath misted in the cold. "Ali, you forgot me." The voice echoed inside his skull. Ali couldn't move. His body was paralyzed. His eyelids felt heavy, his limbs sinking into the bed. The shadow loomed at the foot of his bed. Ali's breath caught in his throat. He was slipping into unconsciousness. A sudden voice startled him awake. His mother's voice. It was morning. He tried to explain what had happened, but his mother looked at him with concern. "Ali, your door never opened, and when I checked on you after you screamed in your sleep, you were in deep slumber." Ali swallowed hard. Was it real, or just a nightmare? But when he looked down at the floor near his bed and saw the muddy, wet footprints leading inside, he knew it wasn't just a dream. From that night on, Ali could never sleep alone. And the whispers, they never truly stopped. But this was only the beginning. As the days passed, Ali's unease grew worse. The house was filled with strange noises, soft footsteps, rhythmic tapping against the walls. His parents began to notice it too. One night his father froze in terror when he saw a rocking chair moving on its own in the living room. And sitting in that chair was a pair of glowing red eyes staring right at him. That same night, Ali fell into a deep sleep, only to find himself in the same dark yard from his dream. The shadow stood before him again. But this time Ali couldn't move. It had no face, just an endless void of darkness. "You can't forget me. You called me. Now you are mine." Ali jolted awake, gasping for air, but he couldn't breathe. His eyes shot open, and he saw it. A dark figure was sitting on his chest. He was completely pinned down. He couldn't move, couldn't scream. The entity leaned closer, pulling him into an abyss of darkness. Ali's vision blurred, fading to black. Then suddenly, the sound of the morning prayer, the call to prayer, echoed through the village. The entity let out a bone-chilling screech and vanished. Ali's parents rushed in to wake him. His eyes had turned completely black. A local cleric was summoned. Prayers were whispered, and finally Ali could breathe again. But from that night on, he was never the same. He stopped looking into mirrors, because whenever he did, he saw it. That cursed shadow, grinning back at him, and the whispers never stopped.